Hi, welcome to Philosophy 133, an introduction to philosophy through the study of ethics. My name is Steve Cavan. I look forward to getting to know all of you personally, although it will be virtually or remotely at some point in this term. For me, personal connections are the essence of philosophy. This lies at the heart of philosophy. The direct exchange of ideas between people, the open discussion of ideas. This is what makes philosophy happen. But I've come to terms with the fact that we cannot replicate the in-class format, the feeling of what it's like to be face-to-face. So we have to make a lot of changes and adaptations. The remote format of the class really means that you will have to assume some responsibility, perhaps a lot of responsibility, for both creating and engaging in discussions. I will offer opportunities through private meetings with me, some synchronous group discussions organized by me through Zoom or Skype or WebEx, and asynchronous discussion boards for you and other students, into which I might toss comments. More so than in a regular class, what you get out of this class will really depend on what you bring to it. Well, what do I bring to the class? How do I replace 3 hours of lecture material? Right, I could record 3 hours of video lectures. Yes, some people do, I think. But I know nobody in their right mind would watch a 3-hour video lecture. In fact, I'm not sure how anyone endures listening to me talk for 3 hours anyway, but that's another question. So, in order to support these readings and these philosophers, I'll be doing a number of different things. I will be recording some very short podcasts, which you can listen to at your leisure. I will do a few YouTube videos. These too will be short and not very frequent. It takes an enormous amount of time and effort to script a video, to record it, and do take after take, and then edit, and cut things out, and then upload that video. I certainly spend 1, 2, or 3 days for a half-decent video of 10 or 15 minutes. Even a podcast probably consumes 20 or 30 minutes of prep time for every minute of recording time. And lastly will come discussions, weekly discussion topics. Some of these will be inside asynchronous discussion boards. Some of them will be in the somewhat synchronous group meetings. These meetings are not mandatory. But to paraphrase Nietzsche again, you only get out of a class what you bring to it. Do the readings as best you can, and ask questions about them. And as for this, the element of synchronicity or asynchronicity, I live outside the city with very dodgy internet service, and there were 4 people in this house trying to access lectures and Zoom meetings and Skype meetings and classes, and it really eats up my internet capabilities. So I plan to book in 1 hour of synchronous material every week. If you can drop in, raise topics, have discussions, that's cool. You can also send me emails, and I might say, hey, I'll talk about this in the class. I will try to record that material or the discussion in that material. Maybe I can just do an audio recording to save space, and then submit that to people who can't join in. Yes, I will note here too that some of the readings we have in this course are very difficult, especially Kant, to a lesser degree Mill. Mill is actually fairly straightforward, but very wordy in a very classical British style. I sort of enjoy reading Mill in some ways, but Kant is a special case. He needs to be read slowly and carefully. And Plato, on the other hand, is very easy to read. I think he's one of the finest writers ever in philosophy. Just stylistically, Plato and Nietzsche are both very, very easy philosophers to read. But I'll caution you, they can be the hardest to understand. Kant, on the other hand, I like to say, is very difficult to read. But once you get the hang of it, once you see what he's saying, it's pretty repetitive and it's very simple. It's very straightforward, I find. So one piece of advice I can give based on many years of both studying and teaching is try your very best to read Kant. It was one of the most important things I ever did as an undergraduate. It will be hard, but when you have done it, most other readings will seem like children's books. You'll just burn through them. I can offer an analogy here. A few years ago, I decided to work out at a gym. I hired a trainer, and she started off with weights, giving me an empty bar to do pressing. And yeah, sure, that in itself actually was difficult at first. But then after a few weeks, she started putting on a few more pounds. I think the empty bar is 40 pounds, and then she threw on 5 pounds here and there, then 5, and then 10, 15, 20. After a few weeks, I was pressing 100 pounds. And then the empty bar seemed like nothing. You can do the same with your brain, and it does take effort initially. Read Kant, struggle through it, piece it together, develop a sense of how he can build things, how the sentences work. Then everything else becomes much easier to read. About my teaching style, I should say that, as you probably know, philosophy is not so much about facts as it is about ideas, about expressing ideas, challenging ideas. I try to tell you what I think a philosopher is saying, but don't take my word for it. Think about what the philosopher is saying for yourself. Read the books. And if you find the philosopher saying something that disagrees with my reading or my interpretation, flag it. That's how philosophy works. If you watch other videos or read other books with other views on philosophers, take all of those ideas too, with caution. Ask yourself, do they fit with the text? Is my reading more coherent with the text, or is this other person's reading more coherent with the text? I don't have any axe to grind here. If you can convince me that my reading is incorrect, you probably get bonus points. But I say in general, take everything you read with a grain of salt. Or if you want to say that and sound very academic, you say, take everything you read cum grano salis, Latin. Remember that most of the greatest philosophers create problems of interpretation. Most great writers do the same. Euripides, Sophocles. If I say Plato says X, I guarantee, it's almost certain that there will be other people out there that say, no. Plato doesn't say X, he says Y. There you go. So I try to make sense out of the text, and I want to put every philosopher in the best light possible. So in other words, I'm more interested in the reasons behind understandings or your interpretation rather than the interpretation itself. If you just say so and so says blah blah blah, I don't care. I want to know why you think that and how you can support it, and you have to support it with reference to the text, to that philosopher's words. So Following that, I suggest that in the first place, you try as best as you can to see the world through their eyes, to present these ideas in a positive light. I will try to present them in the best light possible, even when I disagree with them. My approach is based on my experiences that I had as a student, as an undergraduate. In fact, some of my professors would begin their class by stating, this philosopher, whatever, Plato, this philosopher is just stupid. And they would give me the reasons why. And I was left wondering why I should bother reading them then. Then I start to think, wait a second here, isn't this odd? Plato's just stupid, Aristotle's just stupid, Kant's just stupid. And I thought, why is it? These are some of the people that have been considered the most intelligent thinkers, some of the greatest minds that have ever graced this earth for thousands of years. And yet, my professor thinks they're all just stupid. So, he must be smarter than everyone else that has ever existed. And it struck me that this was really just hubris. Hubris is a Greek word, and if you don't know the word, you can ask me sometime. So the right approach dawned on me, partly as a fourth-year student, and I met some of my professors who were just brilliant with this technique, which is the one I like to do. I was reading Kant's Critique of Pure Reason over a full year course. This is 8 months of just reading that one philosophical work, arguably the greatest philosophical work ever. And at some point in the course, I remember suddenly seeing the world through Kant's eyes. I thought, this is it. This is brilliant. This is just brilliant. Kant has it. And I walked around for several months in this daze of looking at the world through Kant's eyes. Then, after a few months of doing this, I noticed that, the shoes started to pinch. And I began to feel something pinching my toes. And I became more critical of Kant, and I was more confident in my insights and evaluations. And I wrote a killer paper. In short, I want you to try to understand what these philosophers are saying. Tell me in your words. Apply their ideas to something in the world. Evaluate them. Does it work? Does it not work? Are you happy with it? Are you unhappy with their view? Always return to the text. Always return to their words. Be sure that your view of their position fits with what they have written. So, I know there are no prerequisites for this course. Your minds could be a clean slate, a tabula rasa for ideas. Be sure to stop me if I use jargon. I will be using jargon. I will eventually throw out words like epistemology and ontology and whatever. Stop me and ask for clarification if you don't know. We get into technical fields, jargon happens, although I always caution my students to avoid jargon. But if you proceed with further studies in philosophy, you'll want to know them. I will also be expecting proper essay writing techniques. I will do a little presentation on how to write a philosophy paper at some point here. Grammar, punctuation are important for creating clear and unambiguous arguments. Philosophy papers are perhaps different from other disciplines in some respects, similar in others. Okay, and I'll touch on that at some point before we start into writing. As I note in the course outline, I will be looking for the MLA in-text citation format, not APA format. Just a heads up. And that's all I have to say right now. I look forward to meeting everyone soon. Bye for now.